Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Today I thought it'd be interesting to talk a bit about initiative and hopefully do this in a short amount of time because short videos are better than long ones. And I also thought it'd be easiest to talk about it in terms of what I don't like about certain initiative motifs and then leave you with a logical conclusion. First off, I played Cyclical Initiative in Pathfinder games, even in my own games and whatnot, and I found I didn't like it for one particular reason. You know, if somebody rolls really good in the beginning, then it affects what happens for each additional round. It's sort of like the initial coin toss at the Super Bowl somehow affecting every single play in the entire game. And I know there's some football aficionados who will explain to me why that's really true. Forget it. Just, you get the idea. So that's why I don't like a cyclical type initiative. As far as party-based initiative goes, I don't mind it. We use it in our Lamentations game, but I like to use some modifiers to initiative. I like to use dexterity modifiers, and I also like to use encumbrance modifiers that I talked about. So, if you have a 12 move, you get a +1 to your initiative. For the most part, and then you can, if you carry more and more stuff, you get 0, -1, -2, and if you're really way down, shouldn't even be moving at all practically, you get a -3. And so on my, character sheets, they have a little box that they can, erase and rewrite what their initiative modifier is right now based on their dex and their encumbrance and anything else situational, which generally doesn't happen. But when you have party initiative and you're using that, the same thing kind of happens. As you always know, well, geez, Rex is always going to go first because he's got the highest dexterity and he isn't carrying anything, etc. All the way down to Sluggo, who's got a 7 dexterity and is wearing full plate and carrying 1,000 pounds of gold or something stupid. So I don't like using the party-based initiative system. So I like an individual initiative system, but I like it to happen every round. Now this does slow the game or the combat down just a little bit, but and I like fast combat, but it doesn't slow it down that much, so I don't mind it. Right now for initiative, I'm using D12, believe it or not, because it's a little lonely die that cried and nobody used it for anything. And I also decided that I'm going to use short rounds, so each a pip on that D12 represents a second, so they're 12-second rounds, so there's 5 rounds in a minute. Hooray! A minute is divisible by 6, it's divisible by 10, it's divisible by 12. Why not use 12? So that's what I'm using. And it also gives you a kind of a nice wide spread. Not as big as D20, but I didn't want to use D20. So your modifiers, if you have a lot of good modifiers, it still doesn't mean that you're always going to go first. And I like it to correspond to the seconds. So that's what I've done in terms of that. Round-wise, though, before we roll initiative, as I talked about in the magic segment, everybody has to declare what they're going to do. And if I'm going to be casting spells, I'm going to have my guys do something. If people are really worried about me cheating, I will write something down on a piece of scrap paper and turn it over afterwards. So hear that was my plan. You get to move at 1/3 your movement rate during a round. So if you have a move of 120 feet, normally, then you can move 40 feet around. If you have a movement of 90, then you can move 30 feet in a round. And of course, if you want to run, you can get places faster. But you can do anything. It's not this 5-foot step crap. It's like you can really go to various different places. And for the most part, I'm just do a countdown. Okay, who's got a 12? Who's got an 11? Who's got 10, etc. And then they'll say what they're going to do. And for monsters, I'll roll 1 die. And if there's any really important monsters or NPCs, and I'll roll other dice for them. But for the most part, I'm not going to go nuts rolling for Goblin 1, Goblin 2, Goblin 3. That's just crazy. You might as well just shoot yourself at that point. And spellcasters, of course, if they get they're soon to be casting at the beginning of the round, should they actually successfully get hit by something, a spell, a rock, whatever, somebody pushes them before they cast a spell on their place in initiative, the spell is ruined. They can certainly say, hey, look, I want to, move 10 feet behind this rock and then cast my spell. And I'll be, okay, well, that's, going to take you, 4, pips on the initiative die. So you're not going to start casting your spell, or your initiative is now 4 worse than it was going to be. But, I'm not heartless. Because once casters start casting a spell, they can't use their dex mod, and they can't really move. They're kind of stuck there. So, if somebody, wants to declare that sort of action. And also the other thing, in terms of declaring actions, if people see things happening once the round starts unfolding, and they see, say, the big bad evil goblin is now casting a spell, and they didn't realize he was a spellcaster, and they're running in that general direction anyway to, hit Mook number 1, I'll let the fighter say, hey, well, I'm going to go try to grapple this guy or knock him out or something, not heartless at all. anything happens on simultaneous initiative can be kind of funny. You can actually kill each other at the same time. If you both rolled a 4, hey, guess what? The fighter and the goblin can actually kill each other, which is kind of funny. The only thing, I might be, if people are really upset with that, okay, let's flip a coin, see who really goes first. And I think the only other thing is really if people have, like negative initiatives due to penalties, or if they're over a 12. I'm assuming everything that happens on a 12 and up is simultaneous, and everything that happens, on a 1 and down is all simultaneous. So that's pretty much what I do for initiative, and why I like to use an individual-based, every single round initiative with modifiers.